there's basically four elements to a formal discussion. Basically, there's got to be a discussion, first and foremost. So a discussion must take place. Now, within that discussion, it doesn't necessarily have to be a two-way communication, or basically no actual communication needs to take place. But basically, the employees are entitled to union representation when management engages in either there's a grievance or a union grievance file, which would be a communication, considered formal discussion, or if management intends to discuss issues with regards to personnel policies, practices, or conditions of employment. So the first element is a discussion has to take place. The second element is the discussion has to be formal. All right. Now there's several case laws out there that have defined what formal is, but primarily formality in this instance basically may be established by the purpose of a discussion or the content in which the discussion takes place. For example, a supervisor or your commander calls a meeting to talk about changes in to reorganize the organization. That is considered a change in the employee's working conditions, or could have the potential. Now, that is a formal discussion. As such, it's formal because by the commander, a meeting was called, and probably agenda in place. So the second element basically is nothing more than it has to be a formal discussion. The third element, the formal discussion must be between one or more management representative and one or more employee of the bargaining unit. And I want to emphasize that if you're a supervisor that doesn't have any bargaining unit employees, if you have a meeting that meets the definitions, but the employees are not part of the bargaining unit, then these provisions do not apply. Okay? So, one or more management official, one or more employees of the bargaining unit. That's the third element. The fourth element is the formal discussion between one or more representatives of the agency, or one or more unit employees or their representative, must concern any grievance or any changes in personnel policy. Now, what does that actually mean? What that means is for a management official to discuss something, it doesn't have to be a supervisor. It doesn't have to be a management, it doesn't have to be a commander. As long as that individual is a representative of the agency, then he or she is, if he or she is talking on behalf of the agency, then these issues apply. For example, if you go to an EEO hearing and they're questioning you, if you're under an IG investigation, commander directed investigation, all those are considered formal discussions. As such, the union has to be notified. Now, does the union have to attend those formal discussions? The answer is no. They do not have to attend, but they must be notified. So those are basically the four elements. Discussion has got to be held. Discussion's got to be formal. It's got to be one or more management representative and one or more employee who is part of the bargaining unit, or if the discussion resolves around a grievance or changes in conditions of employment personnel policies. So with those four elements, that defines what a formal discussion is. Now, if you as the supervisor are not sure that if you're going to have a meeting with your employees, whether or not you should invite the union, I need to emphasize again that contact your labor relations officer. Give him or her the information of what your meeting is going to be about. And then they will guide you and let you know whether or not that requires notification to the union. If it does, in most instances, the labor relations will do that for you. The LROs, we call them LROs. They will do that for you. They will draft probably the notice, deliver the notice, and you simply hold your meeting at the particular time. Now, what role does the union have at your formal meeting? Well, that union representative has the same role as the employee in the meeting. For example, they cannot disrupt the meeting, same as the employees can't disrupt the meeting. They can't take over the meeting. Now, they can ask questions, concerns, just as an employee would have. So those are some of the responsibilities. Now, if they choose not to attend, does that mean you have to reschedule your meeting? The answer is no. Your obligation simply is to notify the union that you're going to have a formal discussion. The employee has the right to be represented by an employee because the discussion that's going to occur between you as the first line supervisor and the employee, probably at the first step of the grievance process, since that is considered a formal discussion, then you must have the union present with you. Because it's a grievance, it's outlined in the contract, these are the procedures that we're going to use. You cannot walk away with them. The employee chooses not to have a union rep, then you still must notify the union, and the union still has the right to be present, even if it's on an observation point. The second right that the employee has is to request a representative if he or she is under an investigatory type interview. For example, the supervisor calls the employee in and is going to ask questions to receive answers, and the employee reasonably believes that there may be some type of disciplinary action or corrective action as a result of what he or she has to say, then the employee has the right to request that a union representative be present. With that, what does that mean to you as a first line supervisor? Basically what that means is that the individual is there to represent the employee. He's not there to take over the meeting. He's not there to say, talk to me, not the employee. The employee can consult. The union can ask for clarifications of the questions. But in the end, it's the meeting between you and your employee. And so those are two basic rights that the employees have with regards to formal discussions. The rights of the union basically are pretty much parallel those of the employee. The union has the right to be present at formal discussions. The union has the right to be there where there's grievances involved. The union has the right to probably meet and discuss with the supervisors any issues that they want. But for the purposes of formal discussions, it's pretty straightforward. They have the right to be there if it meets any of the previous conditions that we had talked about.